Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of Talking Bullion. Well, some of you may know, some of you may have watched my video on turning silver to gold, where I exchanged constitutional silver, which included quarters, dimes, and Morgan silver dollars, for gold. And it was quite a deal. Worked out very well. If you haven't seen the video yet, I'll put it in the card up here. I'll put it in the description. Go take a look at it. It's an awesome video. It shows some very cool gold. My first American gold buffalo and several 2021 gold coins. I mean, really a fantastic exchange. And take a look at that because this video is going to be the numbers for that video. So I talked about some of the numbers in there, but I didn't give all the details. So I thought I'd circle on back and go through some of the numbers and hopefully motivate some of you to do the same thing. Now, what's key to this exchange of silver for gold is the price that we paid for the silver. And I know some of you are going to look at the numbers and go, hey, Talking Bullion, this is not possible now. But you don't know if today's $20 an ounce is tomorrow's $30 an ounce. We just don't know. So you'll see that on these videos, we got our silver for a really good price. And, cashing it in to get some gold was just the right time to do that. Now, this was on the weekend when all the bullion dealers shut down. So actually the day I went to the coin show was on a Sunday. And during that day is when all the online bullion dealers had decided that they're going to quit selling until 6 p.m. that night because there was all this talk that silver was going to skyrocket by Sunday night, Monday morning. And the bullion dealers were afraid that if they continued to sell, that they'd lose money or at the very least not be able to replace what they sold. So it was risky for me. I talked with Mrs. TB, and we didn't know what was going to happen on Monday either. Like, well, what if we go to the coin show, make this deal, then on Monday, silver goes up to $40 an ounce. But you don't know what you don't know, right? We knew at the time silver was trading very high, and the gold to silver ratio had come down below 70. And so that meant that silver was going up, but gold wasn't trending with it. Gold was kind of staying put. And so it was a good time, if you wanted to do it, to do it. Now, is there a better time? There's always going to be a better time. There's always going to be a worse time. All you know is your point in time and what you have. So the interesting thing is on Saturday night, I got all the constitutional silver together, counted out the Morgans, looked at all the dates. So all this stuff kind of happened like Sunday morning. So I'm like, I got all this stuff together, but I'm not sure if I want to do this now. So we talked about it, and we decided to do it because the time seemed right. And actually, I'm very happy with the deal. Even though in the past week or so, the fluctuations have been up and down and all around. Silver did go higher, but a few days later, it came back down. And it's kind of nestled where it's at. I think right now, the actual spot is lower than it was on the day that I made this trade. So let's go through the numbers. If you watch the video, you know that we had $210 face on the constitutional silver. We had 16 rolls of quarters, which makes $160. We had 10 rolls of dimes, which was another $50, so that's $210 face. Then we had 100 Morgans. And we'll talk about how much we paid for each of them. I talked about it a little bit in the other video, but how much we paid was key. Now, a lot of people love Morgans, right? And they're going to go, I can't believe you gave up your Morgans. Morgans are awesome. I would have bought them off you. Come on. But you can see here, I still have plenty of Morgans. You can see here, still have plenty of constitutional silver. This is only a representation of what we sold that day. Because like I said, we had 16 rolls of quarters, 10 rolls of dimes. We had 100 Morgans, which are 5 tubes of Morgans. They come in these 22 a tube, a lot like American Silver Eagles. So let's go through some of the numbers. So I went to the vendors. At the time, spot I believe was around $20 an ounce, maybe 20 and some change, 20 point something, but around $20. So I went to the one vendor. He offered me 16 times. That means he's willing to pay 16 times per dollar. So in other words, if you have $10, they give you $160 for it. And I was like, no, that's just way too much below spot. And I was pretty sure that I wasn't going to get spot for, constitutional, junk silver 90%, even though most of them wanted it. I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get it. And I knew these smaller coin dealers at this coin show probably weren't going to pay a lot of money for it. I actually went to a coin shop the week before, and he had told me he'd give me 15 times. And I was like, that is just way too low. I mean, I understand they have to make money, but that's just way too low. So the guy wanted it. He actually offered me 3 different proof gold, silver, these proof sets from the U.S. Mint. They had a gold coin and some, silver coins. He had 3 of them. And he had them tagged at, $1,000 a piece. I'm like, nah, I'm not really interested in that. I'm looking for just some good old American gold eagles and other gold maybe. So he offered me 16 times. So I moved on, and he also offered me 19 for the Morgans, which I thought was too low. I wasn't going to let the Morgans go for below spot. We all know that Morgans come with a premium. And so I went to another vendor around the corner in the show, and he said he would give me 17 times for the constitutional silver. I'm like, it's a little better, but I still think we can do better than that. I didn't even ask him about the Morgans. So I went to a third vendor. Now this vendor is at most of the bigger coin shows. He deals a lot in gold. In fact, I asked him a couple years ago now about, if he was interested in junk silver, and he said, yeah, we buy it. We buy it all the time. If you need to sell it, let us know. And I remember thinking at that time when I talked to him about it that he offered a pretty good price, although I don't remember the details. So I went over to his booth, and again, he had a lot of people. A lot of people were there because remember, this was a time when things were shut down for buying, and gold was kind of hard to get, silver was kind of hard to get, and the coin show was really busy. So I asked them, I said, so what are you willing to give me for my constitutional silver? And he said 18.5 times. And I go, that's not too bad. It's below spot, but it's almost double what I paid for it. And I said, well, how about the Morgans? I've got, just some common date Morgans. He goes, well, what kind of condition are they in? I said, because they're mostly 1921s. They're in pretty good condition. A lot of them have, that's an 1891, but, pretty good condition. They weren't all dinged up and all slicked out. Now, there was a couple of them. I had a few piece dollars in there, too, and, a couple of them were slicked up, but most of them looked pretty good. So he said he'd, give me $25 a piece for them. I was like, well, that's pretty good. I'll take that. So I went out to my car because I didn't bring all that heavy weight in with me. Went over, and one of the cool things was he trusted me. Now, I've been to the coin shows a lot. I think he recognized me. I've talked to this guy several times. And, I told him I went through everything the night before. I double counted each roll because I brought it in my guardhouse box rolls. I had the quarter guardhouse box with me. And I had the 16 rolls, and they're all sent like this, and the Mercury dimes were in their own little rolls too. And I said I wanted my rolls, I wanted my tubes back because, they cost about 50 cents a piece, and, I didn't want to sell tubes. He goes, that's fine. So he hands me a couple heavy duty plastic bags, and I just start opening the tubes and dumping them in there. So that was kind of cool that he just allowed me to do that and wasn't worried about whether it was a quarter short or a dime short, but they were exactly right on. I made sure for their benefit and for mine, I'm not going to short somebody what I promised them. And actually, one of my dime rolls had 2 extra dimes in it, so I was kind of glad I counted. But everything else was right. So let's take a look at what we did here. So if we remember, we had 16 rolls of quarters, and that worked out to $160. We had 10 dimes, so that worked out to $50. So we had $210 face, right? It's, quite a bit of constitutional silver, So now if we do the math on just the constitutional silver, we would have had $210 times 18.5, and that equals $3,895. So yeah, almost $4,000 in constitutional silver. So what did I pay for it? That's one of the key questions here, right? So let me pull up something on my screen here. All right, so you can see here, this is just a little snippet out of my chart from when I was buying most of my constitutional silver in 2019, 2018 time frame. And if you do some of the math on there, you're going to see that I got a pretty good deal. So you're going to see that, face value of $25 cost me $220. You can see the spot price. So this is June 3rd of 2019. Spot price at that time, wow, wouldn't we love to see this again? $14.87. If you take 25 times 0.715, it turned out to be 17.86 ounces. So I ended up paying $12.31 an ounce. And again, spot was $14.87. So I got it for $2.51 below spot. All right. So how many times was that? So if I take the 220, got my little calculator here, and I divide it by 25, that works out to 8.8. So on this first batch, my very first batch of it, I got it for 8.8 times. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's look at the next sample here. $30 face, paid $2.70 for it. It was $14.83 at the time. It was 21.45 ounces of silver. Cost per ounce, $12.59. I got it $2.24 below spot. So let's do the math on that one. So we do $2.70 and we divide by 30. That's 9 times. So another example, 9 times. Let's do this third example now. You might notice here, this is all within the same month. So when this guy was calling me, reaching out to me, and he had these deals, we were, pulling out a lot of money to take care of this, but we knew, back then, we knew even back then that this was a fantastic deal. When can you get, constitutional silver for $2.50 below spot? But here was another one. He had $22.50 face value, paid $200 for it. Spot was $14.91, 16 ounces of silver. Cost us $12.44 and $2.47 below spot. So let's do the times value on this. It was 200 divided by 22.5, 8.89. So let's call that 8.9 times. So you can see that we were getting this for a fantastic price. Now, throughout the many months that we bought from him, the price did go up. I know it went to 9 times, and then at one point it went to 10 times. But we never paid more than 10 times for it, even though spot continued to rise. Because if you look at some of my older videos, you'll see that we paid $5 sometimes below spot. It got to the point where we were getting it for $4 and $5 below spot. And people were criticizing me on my video saying, the guy's a thief, he's stealing it, there's no way, you should never pay that much below spot. Well, we knew we were getting a great deal, and that's why we never once told this guy no. Because the minute we said no, guess what? There'd be 100 people standing in line waiting to buy that stuff. And we didn't want him even looking towards somebody else. So even though sometimes he was calling once a week, twice a week, there are times he called 3 times a week, we did it. We did it. And this was the reason why, right? Look where we're at now. All right. So what we did, I just took an average because I know we paid between 9 and 10 times. I just took, in my mind, 9.5 times, right? So let's use 9.5 times and do the same calculation for $210 face times 9.5. So we would have paid, on average, $19.95 for it. All right. So you can see right away, if we do the math on that, if we do $38.95 and we minus $19.95, we got a $1,900 profit right there. $1,900. Let's put in the 210 here. So we're doing 210 times 9.5. Sorry, I just redid my math. This should be 3885, not 3895. So let me fix my number then. 3885 minus 1995. So this should actually be 1890. All right, so $1,890 profit off of that. Now, would I have liked to have gotten spot 20 times and made this even better? Well, of course I would have, but you can see here, this is pretty darn good, right? Almost doubling our money in about 2 years. Okay. So we'll go ahead and take this back off the screen. And let's talk about the Morgans now, all right? So we had 100 Morgans. And as we know, that's $100 face, but you know, we really don't look at the Morgans quite the same as we do the other 90%. Anyway, we had 100 Morgans, and he offered us $25 for each one of them. So if we do the $25 times 100, we got $2,500 for him. It's pretty easy math, right? And let me pull up one of my other charts here that I snipped out. So you can see here, this is just a sample of some of the Morgans that we purchased and when we did them. All right. And I said that we paid $15 a piece for them because, you know, most of them were $15. But you can see here, and this is actual data, you know, some of them we paid $12.50 a piece for. Some we paid $1,400 for. Most of them we never paid more than $15 for them. You can see what spot was at the time. So we were even getting our Morgans, you know, well below spot. And again, a lot of them were common date, but still they were Morgans, right? So you can't really balk at that. And with all that we were paying on for the, you know, constitutional silver, the reason I didn't buy more Morgans is because we were just laying out too much money on the constitutional. We just didn't have any more money to buy now. This guy would show up with tubes of the Morgans and say, hey, pick what you want, $15 a piece. And, but, you know, just hard because of the money. But as you can see here, $14, $12.50, $15. But we're going to go ahead and use $15 as the base for that. So if we do the math on that, that's $1,500 that we paid. So this is what we paid. This is what we paid. So that gives us $1,000 profit on that as well. So between the two of them, we have $1,890. We have $1,000. So we ended up profits to be $2,890. Pretty good, huh? What did we have into it? We had $1,995. Let's do that math. $1,995 plus $1,500. So we had, let's go with our cost, our initial cost, $34.95. Now the good news is, you know, this $34.95 was paid over a period of time. That's why, you know, stacking is so cool, is because it's really a kind of a savings account, right? You put the money together, let me pull my chart up here a little bit. That last stuff I wrote was off the page. You get a little bit of money here, you get a little bit of money there, and before you know it, it adds up. That's why stacking is so cool. So you can see here, our cost $34.95, our profit's $28.90. So what the two deals worked out to, what he gave us was the $38.85 and the $2,500. So for that $210 of face value, plus the 100 Morgans, he gave us $6,385. So with this number, we went to all of his gold that he had available, picked up several pieces. We showed the American Gold Eagles plus the American Gold Buffalo, which was all 2021s, which I was pretty happy to pick up my first Gold Buffalo. But we actually had a few $100 left over, around the $300 range. I don't remember exactly. So what I did with that is I took that money left over, walked over to another booth because this guy wanted a little bit more for his American Eagles than I wanted to pay. And I applied the leftover to that to a tube of 2021 American Silver Eagles. So the money from this financed half of this, and I was able to get this tube for $620. Now, I wasn't happy about that at the time. Most people wanted $640 or a little bit more. Some wanted $650. I found this guy that gave me a fresh tube for $620, and then the next day, that's when all the American Eagles shot up to, I showed on my live stream that, there was a tube out there for $901, but they kind of settled in at $700. Now they're back down a little bit. But yeah, so with the leftover from all that gold that we purchased, I used half of it to buy a tube of American Eagles. So this tube was about $320 out of pocket because of what we had left over on this. Pretty cool, huh? This is pretty awesome to actually pick up a roll of 2021 American Silver Eagle classic version, right? All right, so there we go. There it is by the numbers. The quarters, the dimes, and the Morgans. How the numbers all worked out. Our costs, the profits, and how we pulled off this deal to trade our silver for gold. That's it, everyone. Thank you for watching. And always remember, let's keep talking bullion.